Hi, this is Simon Upstall and welcome to another tutorial for Apple Motion. And today I want to show you a couple of techniques for creating perfect perspective alignment. So we can create effects like this. So let's get going. So for my project, I'm going to go with 3840 by 2160. We're just going to be working on a still, so frame rate and duration don't matter. So let's first of all bring in our background image that we want to match to. So import this. I'll give you a link in the description to download this image. It's from pexels.com. Okay, so let's just scale it up so it fits. So about 75% is good. So then what we're going to do is we're going to make a new group. So object new group. And then we're going to come over to the library, generators, and we're going to look for grid. And we're going to bring that in. So come over to the inspector. Let's set the background opacity to 0. Let's give it a nice strong color that we can see. Let's set the background width and height temporarily to something like 200. And then what I want to do is nudge these values so the grid is actually perfectly fitting the frame. So I'm just going to nudge that up just a little bit like that. So 203 in that case, 205 in that case. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn this group to fixed resolution, like so. We're going to make sure we've got our overlays turned on. And we are then going to come down and we're going to select the Distort tool. Now, please make very sure you're working on the group, not on the grid. It's very easy to get confused and work on the wrong thing. So do make sure you have the group selected. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on this back wall here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring, first of all, this over till it's lined up with that edge there. And then I'm going to actually bring this down to this window level here. I'll talk about this later on why I'm doing this. And I'm going to line this up, making sure I'm staying on the edge of the frame. I'm going to line it up like that so that perspective line is correct. Let's move this one up till it's sitting in that corner there. And then this one up till it's lining up with the bottom of the wall like that. Again, making sure we're on the edge of the frame. So now what we can do is we can turn off the grid and we can come down and, for example, select our text tool, type out the word factory, scale it up, and you'll notice that it's now perfectly aligned with the wall, no matter what we do with it. So I'm just moving it over there, or move it down on a Y so it sits there. What I did in my example was to actually bring in some video. So I'm just going to bring that in like that, and I'm just going to scale it up. And I want you to notice what happens. If I scale it beyond the dimensions of our fixed resolution group, the edges get cropped. But that's actually what I want. I'm only interested in this wall, so I don't really care that it's being chopped off. This is exactly what we want. And I can bring it down like this. So it's just sitting there, just below that beam, just below the windows. And that sits very nicely in there. Anything we want to put in there is going to work. Very simple. So that's our wall. And we could obviously do that with the other wall if we wanted. So again, just draw out those perspective lines. But we won't bother to do that because what we're going to do is work on the floor, which involves a slightly different technique. So I'm going to make a new group. I'm going to grab the grid out of the old group, drop it into here. And again, I'm going to set this group to fixed resolution and turn on the grid. It's going to turn off that wall group while we work on this. So my group is fixed resolution. And let's call it floor. And then I'm going to come down and first of all select the anchor point tool. And making sure my overlays are turned on, I'm going to move the anchor point over here to the edge of the frame and up to this top left corner. So then I want to come over to the rotation for this group and I want to rotate it through -90 on X. And it's all the way up here, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to scroll in that Y number field till it's more or less on the floor. I'm going to move it over on X. And really what we're aiming to do, and I'm just going to zoom in here so we can see it, is to line it up with that corner there. So let's just move it up on Y. And I think we're pretty good like that. The more accurately that you do this, the better the result. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to rotate it on Z until it's lining up with the bottom of this left-hand wall. And then what I can do is I can scale it like this till it fills the frame. And we can turn off that grid. And let's just grab that factory text out of there and put it into here. Now we need to just reset everything like this. And what we'll need to do is we'll need to just move it over on X till we start to see it, and then forward on Y till we start to see it. But you can see that it's perfectly aligned to the floor like this, no matter what we do with it. So you can see that's how we do our floor. Very simple. As we move it backwards and forwards, everything stays in perfect alignment. Do make sure to be working with the group, not the grid, when you do this lineup. It's very important. It's very easy to just kind of get distracted and start manipulating the grid, and then you wonder why it's not working. Do make sure that you're working on the actual fixed resolution group for both the wall and the floor as you go. So there you go. Hope that's been useful. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.